Hey guys, how's it going? So today I am going to run through all of the currently released cards of the Hearthstone Witchwood expansion. There's a little bit more than 60 of them, and I am basically just going to rate them from 1 stars until 5 stars. So if it's something good like Tyrian Fordring, then it's obviously going to get 5 stars. But if it's something bad like the Dark Fisher Nat Pagel, then it's obviously going to get 1 star. And I'm going to rate them like that because I can easily spend 2 or 3 minutes per card explaining why I think it's a good card and explaining all of the different combos that you can do with a particular card. So that will make the video way too long, so I'm just going to rate it from 1 till 5. But if you want to know why I rated a particular card a particular way, like why I gave a particular card 5 stars, then you can just ask me in the comments below and I will be sure to give you the full explanation of why I made that particular decision with my rating for that card. So without further ado, let us run through all of the currently released cards of the Witchwood expansion. So first up is a Bog Shaper. This is a Shaman card. It is a 7 mana 4/8 with the ability whenever you cast a spell, draw a minion. So I will give this 3 stars. Next up is Dire Frenzy. It is a 4 mana hunter spell. Give a beast +3/+3. Shuffle 3 copies into your deck with +3/+3. This is absolutely a 5-star card. Next up is Swift Messenger. This is a 4 mana 2/6 neutral with Rush. Each time this is in your hand, swap its attack and health. This is a 2-star card. Next up is Spellshifter, a 2 mana 1/4 with +1 spell damage. It is a neutral card. Each time this is in your hand, swap its attack and health. This is a 2-star card bordering on a 1-star card, but I think it will be a 2-star card. Next up is Gilnean Royal Guard. This is a 8 mana 3/8 with Divine Shield and Rush. Each turn this is in your hand, swap its attack and health. This is a 2-star card bordering on a 3-star, but I will give it a 2-star. Next up is the Dusk Bat. It is a Warlock card, 3 mana 2/4. Battle cry: if your hero took damage this turn, summon 2 1/1 bats. This is a 4-star card. It's really quite good. Next up is Death Web Spider. It is a 5 mana 4/6. Battle cry: if your hero took damage this turn, gain lifesteal. This is a 4 mana card bordering on a 3 mana card. Next up is Blood Witch. It is a 4 mana 3/6. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. This doesn't seem very good, but I think they will be adding a lot more cards that work off of your hero taking damage as a warlock. So I will give this 3 stars, simply because of the future synergy that can be possible. Next up is Spectral Cutlass. It is a 4 mana 2/2 weapon for the Rogue class. Whenever you play a card from another class, gain 1 durability, and it has lifesteal. This is a 2-star card. Next up is Holy Water, 5 mana spell for the priest. Deal 4 damage to a minion. If that kills it, add a copy of it to your hand. This is a 4-star card, nearly a 5-star card, but I think it is honestly 4 stars. Next up is Rat Trap. This is a hunter spell, 2 mana secret. After your opponent plays 3 cards in a turn, summon a 6/6 rat. This is a 4-star card. Next up is Wing Blast. It's a 4 mana spell. Deal 4 damage to a minion. If a minion died this turn, this costs 1 mana. This is a 5-star card for certain. I would almost give it 6 stars if the scale went up to 6, but yeah, this is a solid 5-star card. Next up is Witch's Cauldron. After a friendly minion dies, add a random shaman spell to your hand. It's a neutral card and it costs 3 mana with 4 HP. This will be a 2-star card. Next up is Dusk Fallen Aviana. It is a 5 mana 3/7 Druid legendary. On each player's turn, the first card played cost 0. So this is a 2-star card. Next up is Deadly Arsenal. This is a 6 mana spell. Reveal a weapon from your deck. Deal its attack to all minions. This is pretty good. It's obviously a very good board clear. I will give this 3 stars, bordering on 4 stars. But it's honestly leaning a little bit more towards the 3-star scale. Next up is Woodcutter's Axe. It's a 2 mana 2/2 weapon for the warrior. Death Rattle, give +2/+1 to a random friendly rush minion. So this weapon is really quite good. It might not seem that good, but you must remember that Fiery War Axe was nerfed. So Fiery War Axe used to cost 2 mana, it now costs 3 mana, so this will become the new Fiery War Axe, and that is why I am going to give it 4 stars. Next up is Cathedral Gargoyle. It's a 2 mana 2/2 Paladin exclusive card. Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. This will be very good in Dragon Paladin, so it will be a 4-star card. Next up is Witchwood Grizzly. It is a 5 mana 3/12 neutral beast with Taunt and with the Battle Cry. Lose 1 health for each card on your opponent's hand, or in your opponent's hand. So if you play this, it will lose HP for each card in your opponent's hand. This might not seem very good, but there are so many cards that will be able to pull this beast out of your deck basically for free. So it will then be a 3/12 on your board. So this card is honestly a 4-star, bordering on a 5-star. It is really that good. Next up is Witching Hour. It is a 3 mana druid spell. Summon a random friendly beast that died this game. So this is probably a 2-star, bordering on a 3-star. I think I will give it a 3-star, since you will obviously build your deck around this card, summoning big minions or big beasts that died, not just small beasts. So this will be a 3-star card. Next up is Toxmonger. It is a 4 mana 2/4 hunter exclusive card. Whenever you play a 1-cost minion, give it poisonous. I think this will be a pretty solid 3-star card. Next up is Duskhaven Hunter. It is a 3 mana 2/5 hunter card with stealth. Each turn this is in your hand, swap its attack and health. So only if it is in your hand, its attack and health will be swapped, not when you play it. So the fact that it has stealth, it won't change from the attack and health while it's on the board. So I think this will probably be a 2-star card, bordering on a 3-star card. Next up is Chameleos. This is a 1 mana 1/1 priest legendary, and it is a beast with the ability each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a card your opponent is holding. This is a very, very good tech card. It is not such a good card on its own. It's not going to swing the game for you, but right through the game you will get a lot of information on what cards your opponent has, and that is a power in itself. So I will give this card 5 stars, bordering on 4 stars, but I honestly think this is a very good card, so I will give it 5 stars. Even though it is probably a card that you will never play, since the longer that it remains in your hand, the more value you actually get from this card. Next up is Cursed Castaway. This is a 6 mana 5/3 pirate for the rogue. It has Rush and a Death Rattle. Draw a combo card from your deck. So I think this will be pretty good. I will give it 3 stars. Next up is Lady in White. This is a 6 mana 5/5 priest legendary with the battle cry, cast Inner Fire on every minion in your deck. This is a 5-star card, absolutely. It is an amazing card that you can build an entire deck around. So this is a 5-star card. Next up is Blackwald Gunspire. It is 7 mana 3/8 warrior legendary with the ability can't attack whenever this minion takes damage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. This is a 3-star card, bordering on a 4-star card, but honestly it's more a 3-star card because it is a little bit too situational and you would have to build your entire deck with a lot of whirlwinding effects around this card. So that's why it's not such a good card. Next up is a 2 mana rogue spell with Echo, a cheap shot, deal 2 damage to a minion. So this is a really good board clear and I will give it 4 stars. Next up is a paladin card, a 2 mana Sound the Bells with Echo. Give a minion +1/+2. This will probably be a 3-star card. If this card was something like a mage spell or a priest spell, then it would probably be close to a 5-star card, but because it is a paladin spell, this only gets 3 stars. Next up is Ravencaller. This is a 3 mana 2/1 neutral minion with battle cry. Add 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand. So this card will probably only be useful in something like a Rush Druid or anything like that, any Rush decks. So this card will get 2 stars, bordering on 1 star, but I think rather 2 stars is the correct evaluation for this card. Next up is Emerus. This is a 10 mana 8/8 hunter legendary with the battle cry, double the attack and health of all minions in your hand. Now this may seem incredibly powerful, but after some thorough consideration, this honestly is not so game-breakingly powerful, since Hunter very often doesn't have a lot of cards in their hand by turn 10, and they don't honestly have a lot of card draw mechanics, so it's not like they can fill their hand up very quickly. So that is why I'm gonna give this 3 stars. Next up is Darius Crowley. This is a 5 mana 4/4 warrior legendary with Rush. After this minion attacks and kills a minion, gain +2/2. Now this is probably a 3-star card, but there's a possibility that this card, if you for instance run it into something and that something has 4 attack, that would mean that this minion dies. But if this minion kills that minion, then this card, if it does work this way, this card should then be a 2 HP minion. Because it died, it had 0 HP, but it killed the other minion. So that then means that this should go up to a 2 HP minion. So If it does work that way, whereby if you kill something you still get the +2/2 buff, if it does work that way, then this is a 4-star card. But if it doesn't work that way, then this is just a 3-star card. Next up is Coffin Crusher. This is a 6 mana, 6/5 priest card with Death Rattle. Summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand. Now, this is a 4-star card, and the reason why I rate it that high is because of exactly what the text says. It says summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand, not play a Death Rattle minion from your hand. So this will create a copy of a minion in your hand and then summon it on the battlefield. So it will not pull a minion from your hand, it will summon a copy of a minion in your hand. So that makes this card considerably better, and that is why this is a 4-star card. So that's extremely good with Death Rattle Priest. Next up is Clockwork Automaton. This is a 5 mana 4/4 mech neutral minion. Double the damage and healing of your hero power. So this is a really quite a good card in anything like Priest or Hunter or anything like that. That is why this is getting a 4-star evaluation. Next up is Blackwald Pixie. This is a 3 mana 3/4 with the battle cry refresh your hero power. This is a pretty solid card. I will give it 3 stars, bordering on 4 stars. Next up is Vex Crow. This is a 4 mana 3/3 mage minion. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 2-cost minion. This is a pretty good card. I will give it 4 stars, bordering on 3 stars, but honestly I'm leaning more towards the 4-star side of things. Next up is Scaleworm. This is a 4 mana 4/4 neutral beast battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and rush. This is pretty good. I will give it 3 stars because it says rush. If this card said charge, then this would be a 5-star card, but because it says rush, this only gets 3 stars. Next up is a 4 mana rogue spell, Wanted. Deal 3 damage to a minion. If that kills it, add a coin to your hand. This isn't an extremely good card, and I don't know why they made it an epic. Really, making this card an epic is a little bit unrealistic. So I will give this 2 stars, bordering on 1 star. Next up is Forest Guide. This is a 4 mana 1/6 druid card, druid minion. At the end of your turn, both players draw a card. So this will pretty much only be useful in something like Fatigue Druid, and so I will give this 2 stars, bordering on 1 star. Next up is Hunting Mastiff. This is a 2 mana 2/1 hunter beast with echo and rush. So this is pretty good, certainly good as a board clear. I will give this 3 stars, bordering on 4 stars, but I honestly think it's more a 3-star card. Next up is Lord Godfrey. This is a 7 mana 4/4 warlock legendary. This card is extremely good, 5 stars all the way. The battle cry, deal 2 damage to all other minions. If any die, repeat this battle cry. This is 5 stars. Honestly, bordering on 6 stars. That's just how good this card is. It is incredibly good, and you're probably going to be seeing this in each and every warlock deck for the next few years. Next up is Red Band Wasp. This is a 2 mana 1/3 beast warrior card with rush. Has +3 attack while damaged. This isn't a very good card. I will say that it is 3 stars, bordering on 2 stars. Next up is Muck Hunter. This is a 5 mana, 5/8 neutral minion with Rush. Battlecry, summon 2 2/1 Mucklings for your opponent. This is not an extremely good card. I will give it 2 stars, bordering on 3 stars. Next up is Hagatha the Witch. This is a Shaman legendary hero. It costs 8 mana and the battle cry is deal 3 damage to all minions. And Hagatha's hero power is a passive one, and the passive hero power is after you play a minion, add a random shaman spell to your hand. Now this might seem incredibly overpowered because as long as you have minions you will have an extra spell, but this honestly does not work out all that good, since Shaman has a lot of useless spells that they can generate, that can be generated by the hero power, so I will give this 4 stars, bordering on 3 stars to be honest. Next up is Witch's Apprentice. This is a Shaman card, 1 mana, 0/1 beast with taunt. Battlecry, add a random Shaman spell to your hand. This is not so good. It's more a delaying tactic than anything else, but I will give it 3 stars, bordering on 2 stars. Next up is Nightmare Amalgam. This is a 3 mana, 3/4 neutral minion, and this is a very unique ability that this card has. It is the first minion ever to have this ability. This is an elemental, mech, demon, murloc, dragon, beast, pirate and totem. So that is quite an interesting card, and I think it will actually be seeing a lot of play in a lot of different decks, especially the dragon priest, dragon warlock and a murloc, shaman, anything like that. So this is a 4-star card, almost bordering on a 5-star card, but honestly 4 stars is a pretty good evaluation of this card. Next up is Glenda Krause. This is a 6 mana, 3/7 warlock legendary with the ability minions in your hand have echo. Now this is a persistent effect, so it's not a battle cry that activates once. This is a persistent effect, and because it has a quite high HP, this is actually pretty good, since you can expect this to stay on the field for at least a turn probably. So this is a pretty good card. I will give it 4 stars. Next up is Vivid Nightmare. This is a 3 mana priest spell. Choose a friendly minion, summon a copy of it with 1 health remaining. So this has the possibility of being very good, but only in very gimmicky decks to be honest, so I will give this a 3-star evaluation. Next up is Rebuke. This is a 2 mana paladin spell, and the ability is enemy spells cost 5 more next turn. Now this will be probably a 4-star card in standard, but in wild I honestly think this will be a 2-star card, since wild already has Loatheb and a lot of wild decks still run Loatheb, since this card has the same effect as Loatheb. So in wild this will probably be a 2-star card, but in standard this will be a 4-star card. Next up is Whispering Woods. This is a 4 mana druid spell, with the ability summon a 1/1 wisp for each card in your hand. This is not really that good. I will give this 2 stars, possibly bordering on 3 stars, but I think 2 stars is correct. Next up is Witchwood Apple. This is a 2 mana druid spell. Add 3 2/2 treants to your hand. This card is not really very good, except in maybe Token Rush Druid, but I think this is a 1-star card, to be honest. It's not really that good. Next up is Rotten Applebaum. This is a 5 mana 4/5 neutral minion with Taunt and Death Rattle. Restore 4 health to your hero. This is pretty good. I will give this 3 stars if you are playing a normal deck, and 4 stars if you are playing a Death Rattle deck like Death Rattle Priest or anything like that. So 3 stars if you're playing a normal deck, 4 stars if you're playing Death Rattle Priest or any Death Rattle orientated deck. Next up is Houndmaster Shaw. This is a 4 mana 3/6 Hunter legendary with the ability, persistent ability. Your other minions have rush, so this is really quite good. I will give this 4 stars. Next up is Warpath. This is a 2 mana warrior spell with echo. Deal 1 damage to all minions. So this is basically like Whirlwind, except it has echo. So I will give this 4 stars. Next up is Face Collector. This is a 3 mana rogue legendary with 2/2 and echo, battle cry. Add a random legendary minion to your hand. So this is pretty good. It's certainly a very good late game card, since if you play 3 of these in a turn, you get 3 legendaries in your hand, but those legendaries do have the possibility of being very bad legendaries, so I will give this 3 stars, bordering on 4 stars. Next up is Glitter Moth. This is a 5 mana 4/4 priest beast with the battle cry. If your deck has only odd cards, double the health of your other minions. So doubling the health of your other minions might seem incredibly good, but the odd cards requirement is really quite a stringent requirement, so I will give this 3 stars. Next up is Mech Spark Eel. This is a 2 mana 2/3 shaman beast with a battle cry. If your deck has only even cards, deal 2 damage. This is a pretty good minion. I will give this 4 stars, bordering on 3 stars. Next up is Gloom Stag. This is a 5 mana 2/6 beast for the druid, and it has Taunt with the battle cry. If your deck only has odd cost cards, gain 2/2. So this is essentially always going to be a 5 mana 4/8 with Taunt. Now that is really quite good, and that is why I will give this a 4-star evaluation. Obviously, if you are playing this in a non-odd card deck, then this thing only has like 2 stars, maybe 1 star evaluation. But obviously you're always going to play this in a odd card only deck, so that is why this gets 4 stars, since it will always be a 5 mana 4/8 with Taunt, and it's a beast, which makes it even better for druids. Next up is Black Cat. This is a 3 mana 3/3 beast for mage, and it has +1 spell damage with the battle cry. If your deck has only odd cost cards, draw a card. So this is really good, and I will give it 4 stars. Next up is Phantom Militia. This is a 3 mana cost 2/4 neutral minion with echo and Taunt. This is pretty good. I will give it 3 stars. Next up is Pumpkin Peasant. This is a 3 mana 2/4 neutral minion with lifesteal, and each turn this is in your hand, swap its attack and health. This is a 2-star card. Next up is Azlina Soul Thief. This is a 7 mana 3/3 neutral legendary. Battle cry: replace your hand with a copy of your opponent's. So this card is extremely good if your opponent has a lot of cards and you have no cards. Otherwise it's not really so good, since you're obviously going to lose a bunch of cards. So this is pretty much going to work the same as Divine Favor, the Paladin spell, Divine Favor. Since you want to try to have no cards and your opponent should have a lot of cards. So if that is indeed the case, then obviously this card is extremely good and it will be a 4-star card. But honestly, this is a little bit too gimmicky, and it probably most of the times won't work out for you like that, where your opponent has a lot of cards and you don't. So that is why this is a 2-star card, bordering on a 3-star card. Next up is Militia Commander. This is a 4 mana 2/5 warrior card with rush and battle cry: gain +3 attack this turn. This is pretty good. I will give this 3 stars, bordering on 4 stars, but honestly I think 3 stars is a fair evaluation. Next up is Baku the Moon Eater. This is a 9 mana 7/8 beast with a unique ability. At the start of the game, if your deck only has odd cost cards, upgrade your hero power. So this is really quite good. It will certainly be seeing a lot of play in Standard. It won't be seeing a lot of play in Wild, but I still think 4 stars is a pretty good evaluation for this card. And the next card has a similar ability. Gen Greymane is a 6 mana 6/5 neutral legendary. At the start of the game, if your deck only has even costs cards, your starting hero power costs 1. So this card is slightly weaker, even though I still think it will probably be a 4-star card, since this will be seeing a lot of play in Standard, but not so much play in Wild. But you can certainly expect to be seeing a lot of Gen Greymane and Baku the Moon Eater decks in Standard for the next few years, until these cards rotate out of Standard. So yeah guys, that is all of the currently released cards. Do be sure to check out my Facebook page, because each time that a new card is added, I add that card to my album on Facebook. So you can just check that Facebook album every day. It's updated daily, and that way you can stay on top of all of the cards as they are released. And you can ask me any opinions on any of the cards over there, or like I said, you can ask me on any of these cards in the comments below. So that's pretty much it for all of the currently revealed cards. When another 50 or so cards are revealed, then I will probably do another video like this, but I'm not going to do one of these videos for every 10 or 15 cards that are released. That's really just unnecessary. And when it comes closer to the official release of the Witchwood expansion, which will be around the 15th of this month of April, I will be busy making all of the 14 different language videos for the Witchwood expansion. So I probably won't have time to do a bunch of little small videos where I review the cards for you guys. So that's why I'm only going to do one more of these once a lot more of the cards have been released. But as I said, when it comes around the 14th or the 15th, usually 3 or 4 days before the official release of the expansion, you guys will be seeing 14 language videos popping up on my channel, where you can hear exclusively before the stuff is actually released in the game, all of the different card sounds in 14 languages for all of the different cards, and of course also their legendary intro music. So you guys can certainly look forward to that. I will push as hard as I can to get as many of those videos done before the official release of the Hearthstone expansion, and that way you can hear the dialogue before anyone else can hear it. So yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.